like I said, I was with them. You know, when I heard and understood that the reasoning was,
Well,
look, you know, Mannion's kind of like another quarterback coach in
gonna
that
try
role
not to
because he's
sob.
so smart and he knows this offense. He knows exactly where to go with the ball and he recognizes defenses and he just has experience in the league, even though he hasn't
What a
started
sad
but 2 games before this.
finish.
So
What a
I'm
sad
with
way
that.
for
I'll
this
take
whole year to
experience on
be
the Sunday night
ending.
game where you know these coaches are fighting for their jobs and
So,
their livelihoods.
well,
So, like, go with the
Vikings
guy that you trust more.
lose
Fine. But
37 to 10
again, after the
to the
first quarter,
Packers,
and we're seeing an offense
and
that's doing nothing to stretch the field, not
they're
even
done.
attempting to
That's
stretch
it.
the field.
They're
And I
eliminated.
gotta say, for the first couple of series, it's not like there was
After
protection
all this,
issues
after
right
this
away.
ride, this
Manning
crazy
had some
ride
time
that
to throw the
we've been
ball.
on this
You
whole
know, they
year
did
with
a good job of rolling him outside the
all the
pocket,
one-score
you know, doing
games
some
and
different things, much like we
crazy
see with
stuff,
Kirk.
and
And then it just all went
that's it.
kaput.
We're
You
done.
know, like
One
I
game
don't know what
left,
their
but
mentality
it
was.
doesn't
I
mean
don't know what their
anything.
rationale was. It was certainly pretty terrible football offensively.
Ben, this feels like a broken
I wish,
record,
I
but
wish this
again,
would like
more
this.
points given up within 2
This has
minutes
been just
remaining
like
in
an
the half. Adams
inherently
gets that
hard to
11-yard
pin down
touchdown,
Viking
then
season,
has
hard to
105
predict.
still on the clock.
This is like
They
the one
go
game
up
that kind of went the way I
24
thought. I
for
think I picked
Vikings, and then
38-13, and it was
we've been given up,
37-10. It
let's
was
see,
pretty much what I
135
expected.
yards per game
Um,
on the ground. Gave up 174 yards today.
Yeah, it's the same, like you said, same broken record, the same storyline each.
I'm sure there will
game in
be
and game out.
post game stuff with Zimmer, and
You know,
he'll
you look at
say
our defensive
differently,
line,
but
and
he
we just can't.
he
We can't play
committed
against
career
double
suicide.
teams. You know, we have such
Not
a
just in
hard
this game, but
time
in some of these other
fighting
games
off
this
double
year.
teams.
You
And
know, the Dallas
once
game.
they get that wash and they
I
get that
would
push,
argue
when
both
whoever's
Detroit
in
games and
double
the second
team,
one it
three
got him.
technique, nose guard, defensive end, then
You know,
we just have a hard time fitting off.
just
From
the
from
refusal
second level
to
standpoint,
even try.
linebackers, safeties.
And yeah,
So
it's
we're
Kubiak,
just
but
not
I mean,
as physical up front, and all the guys that we
like
thought that
it's
were going to come in and give us this big run support
it's
help
being allowed by
just
Zimmer,
haven't
and it's
done
been
it
allowed by Zimmer,
consistently.
and it's
Are there
costing
times
the
where
chance at the playoffs.
Dalvin Tomlinson looks good? Yeah. Are there times when Michael Pierce looks good? Yeah, but
In
look,
fairness
Pierce
to
has gotta
Sean
stay on the
Mannion,
field.
we were going to
You
lose
know,
this
he's
game
gotta be-
anyway.
you
The,
gotta be
the second the
available to
news
be out
came
there
down
and
about
contribute.
Kirk,
And
we
you
were
know, even
done.
on a night like tonight, too
This
many
game was
times
going to be a
Tomlinson
loss.
would get double teamed and pushed off
And it
to
may
the
have been a
side.
lot.
You know,
Odds are it was probably going to be a loss, even with Cousins.
Thought he had a great game early on, but then he got
Green Bay was
worn
playing
down.
for the one seed, which they
You
now
get a
have.
250-pound back that's going to run downhill behind those double teams, and
You
we
know,
just didn't have an answer.
like, and we beat them the previous meeting, so they wanted revenge, and
Seemed to get colder and colder as you continued with this game.
they were, everyone knew this, weeks ago. Everyone knew weeks ago that this game was going to be a loss. Like, of all the games that were on the schedule the back half of the season, everybody knew this was the loss. Wasn't going to be a loss.
Just in case my legs got cold, but no, I don't know, dude. I don't know,
That's why that Rams game last week was so fucking important, because that was the winnable one of these two.
No, it's fine. I might.
And I don't know where we would have stood if we had won that last week and then lost this one. We'd probably still be needing help then next week, but we would have had a chance. We don't have a chance now because it's over. Because earlier in the day, it looked like we were going to get some help. It looked like Washington Philly was the game that really mattered.
They're at 7 and 9, and of course you got the Bears coming up here next week.
Washington had a lead for most of the game, then they gave it up, but they were driving for maybe a winning touchdown, and Taylor Heineke throws a fucking disgusting interception into the end zone with time left and timeouts and no reason whatsoever to throw that pass. And once that happened, it was just that our fate was sealed, because we knew what was going to happen tonight. And it's almost like the whole coaching staff knew it too, because they didn't try. I'm sorry. This is the nail in the coffin for the Zimmer era, because it's unacceptable to approach this game the way they did it, because it was blatantly obvious. Like, yeah, you're putting in a tough spot when Kirk goes out with COVID, and yes, he's rippable for that. But this, we see it all the time. Teams can do stuff with backup quarterbacks. We've lost to backup quarterbacks. We let Cooper Rush go down the field on us at the end of a game and beat us. Like,
Deliver legendary experiences with Minnesota Vikings Premium Suites. Use Vikings
Most teams,
Gateway as
most
an
coaches
opportunity
are
to
not going to
connect
say
with top
our starting
clients.
quarterback is out.
Reward
We're
your
just gonna
loyal
we're just gonna
employees,
throw up our hands and
or
just give
make
up.
new memories with your
They
friends
gave
and
up.
family at
They
the
gave up.
biggest
They didn't
sporting
try.
event in Minnesota. From the
Go to,
comfort of your own
and
private
whether
suite
that's
at
with
US Bank Stadium.
Mannion or
For more
Mond, and we
information,
saw Mond
visit
for one series for some reason late in the game, and he looked terrible. But it didn't matter who was at quarterback. They could have started Cal Sloter. It would have looked terrible because there was no point. It was clear there was no point that they were going to try to win this game. I don't know what their fucking plan was. What their thinking was. Like, did you think you were going to get a bunch of interceptions off Aaron Rodgers? Did you think you were going to get like,
we are Medtronic and we are engineering the extraordinary. Visit Medtronic.com.
did you think you were going to get 250 yards from Dalvin Cook when they were stacking the box every fucking play? I don't even know did he even get 20 yards? He got nothing. I think our longest run of the game was a Mannion scramble. And one of our longest pass plays was a freaking deflection Bradbury catch. That was, of course, the highlight of the game was something comical. I'm mad, and it's just depressing. It depresses me that this is how it goes out. It didn't have to be this way. And the fate was sealed. This was just the nail in the coffin. The fate was sealed in other games, particularly that Detroit loss was just unbelievable. But I mean, this game, there was no point where they showed any interest in trying to win. None, absolutely none. And you knew you weren't gonna, even with cold weather, you weren't gonna just shut down the Green Bay Packers for 4 quarters. They did okay at the start. I think they stopped them on 2 4th downs, pretty deep. It might have both been in the red zone, and then they held them to a field goal in the red zone. So they were kind of hanging in there, but the offense was not trying. They weren't trying. I don't know how many 3-and-outs they had. But it's just there was just nothing, absolutely nothing. I mean, they had what was it, 28 yards of offense before that last drive, right before halftime, where they got the field goal. And that was 20-3 at the half. It was already over. It was already over. You have to try. The idea, I don't care who they were playing. This could have been against the Bears, and then you were starting to try. You still have to try. They didn't try, and that's what's going to. And I hate that. I'm fucking sick that this is going to be the lasting memory of Mike Zimmer as head coach of the Vikings. Is that they went out in this game and they didn't try. They didn't try. And I don't care what Zimmer says afterwards. They didn't try. And the players tried. They're not stopping. They're not stopping Green Bay in the red zone multiple times early if they're not trying. But you got to give them something. You got to. You just have to. It's a team game. It's a complementary game. If the offense is giving the defense nothing, that's going to hurt them. And vice versa.
We didn't run the ball. Dalvin's always had good games against his team, and we didn't run the ball very well tonight.
Was that the game plan coming in to really feature Dalvin Cook?
Yeah, I'm trying to, but we get a sack on the first in possession.
It's just fucking depressing as hell.
We didn't do good.
This is how this season ends, and at no point did I think this was some sort of Super Bowl team. They were not a Super Bowl team. I picked them to just barely get in the playoffs to begin with this year. I didn't think this was going to be that kind of season or that kind of team. They should have been in the playoffs. It's not okay, even with the guys who you've lost guys with injuries and obviously COVID and the Everson Griffin thing. You've lost players, but there's still too much fucking talent on this team to miss the playoffs 2 years in a row. And maybe I'm the fool and I'm just overrating the roster. but I don't think that I am. This is a really talented team. There's teams that are going to be in the playoffs that are less talented than the Vikings, and I think that would maybe apply last year too. Although last year was like we were so depleted. This year we're not as depleted. We lost players, but we're not completely just barren of talent on either side of the ball.
Now,
I
Kirk is
mean,
not back. Will Kellen Mond get a shot? I know we saw him for a little bit. What are your thoughts there?
and that seals the deal for Zimmer. And I was a Zimmer fan, and I overall I am. I still think his tenure here, you know,
The Vikings, by the way, were 2
I think his tenure here was better than people
on third down. That's
admit.
another game where we're
Better than people think.
It's just no way. I mean,
And it's ending very badly. Like this is bad. This is like, you know, it ended kind of bad with Dennis Green too. Like obviously it didn't do really bad with Childress, but I mean he wasn't here as long. You know, but this is a really bad final, you know, final showing for him. And who knows if he'll even coach against the Bears. I mean, I think. Well, we'll get to. I mean, as far as this game goes, like, you know, there was just nothing. Like Sean Mannion should not be in the NFL. He has no business in the NFL. I don't know why the hell he ever brought him back.
I get paid to build beautiful decks.
I don't know why they're bringing Kyle Sloter back to be a third-string quarterback for a week. Like, just let these you know, some of these people they're just not worthy of being in the NFL. I don't care. Sean Mannion has no business being in the NFL. We would have been fucked with Kellen Mond too. We would have been fucked with Sloter. We probably would have been fucked with just about any backup quarterback.
I stand behind TimberTech 100%.
But there's no excuse for even having this guy back here. I don't get it.
When you step into Lifetime, you won't just see the difference, you'll feel it. We're committing to deliver the best experience.
And then you know, even if you do have no, like you give them no chance with the play calling all year long. The play calling, what are they doing? You know, it's second and long. They want to run the ball. You know, and now, you know, hey, let's not just run the ball on second and long. Let's have a really slow developing draw on second and long. That's great. I'm done with this fucking coaching staff. It's done.
Vikings fan in the opening drive sweepstakes. The new Ford Bronco features the electronic terrain management system.
And maybe you know, in actuality, Clint Kubiak is much better than this, and he's just being kind of boxed in by Zimmer. I don't know. I don't think at this point I don't care. I don't care. They don't care. They didn't care tonight. That's such an insult to the players, to the fans, to show that little interest in winning a game that literally could save your season. I mean, they still would have needed help next week, and they would have needed to win next week. But you know, it's insulting. It's really fucking insulting and infuriating and sad, and just there's no good emotion involved here. And I hate that this is going to be the final memory that we all have of Zimmer. You know, this is as bad as it gets to get to have, you know, to have after all this to be eliminated on national TV, you know, by your hated rival. Maybe the last time we ever face Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's a possibility. I mean, you could fuck even Collinsworth was like, it's like they're having pity on us. They're just taking pity on us. They're like, oh, Sean Mannion's not that bad. Well, yes, he is, but I mean, it ain't all him.
Chargers beat up on the Broncos 34-13. It's the Niners with Lance at the helm,
like,
23-7 as he's
whether it's Sean Mannion or Kirk Cousins or whatever, or whoever skill positions in the line, this coaching staff just does not put players in positions to succeed anymore. They don't maximize the talent. They don't maximize anything that we have. We have some pretty excellent personnel. I've been saying this for basically ever since I kind of just, you know, reached my breaking point with Zimmer, that like prospective head coaches, particularly the offensive minded guys, they're going to be chomping at the bit. They would be just
And just
drooling at the prospect of getting their hands on the personnel that we have on offense.
Stadium. Chase goes for 11 receptions, 266 yards, and 3 TDs.
You know, we have enough skill talent on this team that you stick a backup quarterback in there, you should at least be able to be competent. But we don't even try to be competent. We don't even try to be competent some of the times when Kirk's out there. It's like these are the play calls. Like we're seeing the same shit in this game. A lot of the it's a 3rd and 5 and we're throwing a 30-yard pass for some reason. There's no mid-range passing game. We can't block on a screen pass. We're throwing we tried a 4th down. I think it might have been the first drive. And they throw a little out pass to CJ Ham. I like CJ Ham. He's a nice player. Why is he the target on a 4th down? It's nonsensical. Not saying you convert 1 4th down, it's going to swing the whole game, but it would have been a nice thing to get early. And we call a little out pass to CJ Ham. I don't get it. And it's been this way all year. I'm so wrong. Wrong as I've ever been when I was elated that Gary Kubiak retired, because I truly believed that it couldn't get worse, and it got worse. It got the worst ever.
You don't need an illness to need a doctor.
And it got the worst when we have the most talent.
You don't need to be unwell to get well. What you do need is a primary.
There's no excuse. There's just no excuse.
Better healthcare starts with regular wellness visits.
We make it so easy for some of these opposing defenses to just shut us down.
We're here before you need us.
It's so easy for these guys.
We're here after you need us. We're here.
There's no creativity. There's no attempt to be like the aggressor. Nothing. It's just crap all the time. And it killed this season. Like I think the defense has been disappointing, certainly in stretches. But I mean, obviously we've let up some late drives, and we've had a couple. Like obviously tonight ended up being basically a massacre, but even last week, like we're getting turnovers, we're doing things, and then the offense is we're squandering it all with terrible play calling and on offense, and we're not cashing in, and it's got to be demoralizing for that defense. And obviously we were shorthanded on defense beyond what we've already had. Pierce was out and Dancer was out, and we've got Chris Boyd covering Devontae Adams, and of course that's going to go terribly. Like I said, we were fucked in this game no matter what. Probably. Like, it was going to take a fucking miracle probably to win. But they don't try. They don't try. Like, being like, oh, well, we're fucked no matter what. That's for fans. That's for fans to think. That's for us to think. That's not for coaches and players to think and to coach that way and play that way. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's just not acceptable. Especially when it literally means the difference between still having playoff hopes and being eliminated. And possibly meaning jobs. And I'll never understand, as long as I live, why Zimmer, Kubiak, whoever's more in charge with that, why they've basically been committing career suicide the way they have.
For what works in a loss, 37-10. The Vikings now 7-9. Vikings fan line. Remember the number 651-99.
Zimmer is fired or resigns or whatever it is. Like he could probably. I don't think he would ever be a head coach again at this point. But maybe he could be a coordinator. But
what we just saw in 37-10.
Like Clint Kubiak's never going to get.
Finality.
He's not going to be an offensive coordinator again. Maybe if he kind of, goes back to like the bottom and works his way back up, maybe. But like he's not gonna he's not going to be an offensive coordinator again in the NFL for a very long time, if ever. So why, it's like, so it's either like, I've talked about this before. It's like it's either Zimmer is telling Kubiak to call plays like this, or Kubiak is just doing it on his own and Zimmer's not stopping him. And at this point, I'm beyond caring about what the distinction is. I don't care anymore. I'm out on Zimmer. I don't want him to be the head coach of this team anymore. I don't want him. I don't want him around here anymore. I'm sorry. I respect what he's done for 8 years. And look, he's had an insane amount of shit go against him that was out of his control. But things like, like tonight, and to a degree, I mean, at least the effort tonight, and some of these other games, like it's not out of his control. We lost more games this season through coaching than any Viking season I can remember. We've had seasons where we lost games due to lack of talent, due to luck, and obviously like that can happen this year too. But I don't remember a season where we lost more games because of really like first guess poor coaching. And it's like, what's next? Like,
we're committing to deliver the best experiences and programs in the best places by the
and I obviously have no insider knowledge. I am just a Vikings fan sitting in my house watching games, doing videos, doing blogs, hitting social media, all that. But my prediction is that we're going to hear something this week. I think there's going to be some sort of announcement this week, maybe even a press conference, something involving the ownership and Zimmer. And I think it's going to be announced, however they're going to word it. I don't think they're going to fire Zimmer. I don't think at any point he's going to be like officially fired. I think there's going to be something where, because I don't think they're just going to be like, Zimmer, fuck you, you're gone. I think it's going to be, it's going to be worded like, he's going to resign, something like that. But he's going to coach the final game. I do think he's going to coach against the Bears next week. And that'll be it. And then they'll have him resign, and then get at the coaching search. There's a lot of guys out there. I'll be saying this until they make another coaching hire, but I think you make the right coaching hire, and I think this team absolutely can make a big jump. Because I think the number one thing that's held them back this year and has kept them out of the playoffs is coaching. I don't, obviously there's been injuries and bad luck. Obviously, like all these things factor into any season, but I think that's why I completely reject the idea that they need to just blow up the entire roster and start over. I don't believe that at all. I believe you make the right coaching hire, and I don't know who that is. I don't know if that's Kellen Moore or Bieniemy or Dayball or Byron Leftwich or whoever. I don't know who that is. I hope they make the right one. I hope the one they pick is the right guy. And I think it would be an offensive guy. It seems to make all sense in the world that would be an offensive guy now. But your thoughts? I think they hire the right guy, they can make a big jump next year. And who knows? Maybe you won't even have to face a certain quarterback anymore in this division. I have no idea if that's going to play out, but
he's been behind Kirk Cousins all season. It did not seem like they gave him.
I completely reject the idea that this needs to be blow up the roster, blow up everything. Get rid of every veteran. Like, we have a pretty young roster, and yeah, we got a lot of free agents coming up because we signed all these guys for a year. But
But offensively, it just seemed like there was nothing.
And of course, who knows? I haven't even mentioned the name Spielman yet. We don't know for sure what's going to happen with Spielman. Personally, I think
Talk about how great they are and how awesome
I would keep Spielman.
And linebackers and DBs.
Maybe you keep him around and don't
What?
you don't give him the full power or whatever. But I don't know.
Here's what I'll say. I do want to get back into the
like again. I think the issue is coaching. I don't think the issue is talent. And I'm not saying we have the most talented team in the NFL or anything, but
basically all week I hear that they put him
we certainly have more talent, or we have
utter and total complete confidence.
We have the talent to be better than we are, and I think the coaching is the issue. So I think
a guy that was ready to play in an NFL game.
Zimmer was very good for a while.
Let's do this. Let's pause for station ID. We'll get to some phone calls and a sound bit from Mike Zimmer's press conference. This is
I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of time left, a lot of time coming up for the writing the post-mortem on the Zimmer era. But he's not what he used to be. I think the Zimmer of that we had at the start of his tenure here. I think he gets that. I think he gets this team in the playoffs because I don't think he's as just stubborn and
not sure who I'm going to start next week. No playoffs on the line. Kirk, due to protocols.
I'm rambling a lot, but I'm fucking sad. It's sad. Like there's people who are happy, but people in his fan base who are happy. I certainly don't understand the concept of being happy about getting throttled by your rival on a national TV game and getting eliminated. I think these people are fucking awful excuses for fans, but.
His media availability. And I would like to fire off this interesting comment when basically asked, hey, would you like to see Kellen Mond next Sunday?
Do you think you want to get a look at Mond next week?
Not particularly.
But it's just sad. It's a sad way to end.
I see him every day.
It's always sad if you don't make the playoffs. But it's worse when it's like this feels like the end more than the end of a season. It feels like the end of a whole era, an era that has had a lot of bright spots.
Fall off before the end of the game. Were you cool with? I mean, again, the build up to it with the way Zimmer.
It's just been a mentally exhausting year, frustrating.
Absolutely, Sean's the guy. You should see the command that he has.
You see how good this team has been at times this year, and it's kind of just unfathomable that we sit here now at 7-9 and eliminated and having a meaningless game.
A guy you want to be excited about. Him not starting the game. How'd you view all of that?
I don't know.
I mean, I think we saw a glimpse of it, like the game speed in the NFL.
But we saw it coming. We knew that this was going to be a loss. When that news came down about Kirk, it was just no team can survive. All the shit that goes against this team, it's just unbelievable. I swear to God, the fucking karma ever swings back the other way for this franchise, we're gonna win like 10 Lombardi trophies in a row. The amount of karma we built up from having to deal with all the bad shit. Oh, it's frustrating. But
and you can hit that second receiver in the hole right behind, because I always say if the linebacker runs,
nothing like a video with lots of silences, but I don't know what to say anymore.
So maybe that's what Zimmer sees all week in practice.
I got nothing left. I got nothing left for this season. We got one more game.
And he can't figure it out.
I guess I'll do videos for that game. I don't know what the hell to even talk about. But so whether it's announced this week or if they wait for a week for Monday, I do believe that it's going to be. I think certainly the way they went out in this game, that's got to be the end. There's no way the Wolves have seen this now and are like happy with this. There's just no way. And
with no playoff hopes, and just one more week to go.
It's like
go
they're
through the
spending. I
motions
mean,
and get into the
obviously,
off-season.
everybody
Next
spends a lot of
segment,
money, but they
right
can
into
make
the
money. I
phone
mean,
line, 651-989-5326,
spend a lot on salaries, but every owner just rakes in money.
It's Viking
But
fan line. This is Minnesota Vikings football.
There's no way they're happy about the return on investment, particularly the last couple of years. I think it comes down to coaching. Last year they had a lot more. Last year there were some more built-in excuses. This year there's some, but no coach survives missing the playoffs multiple years in a row unless they've got like Super Bowl rings or something beyond that. And Zimmer doesn't have that, so I think he's going to be gone. And based on what I saw tonight, it seems like he doesn't give a shit if he's gone. And I'll never understand it. I'll never understand the thought process of just kind of letting your career die. But it's how it is. So I'm talking too long here. So we'll see what happens during the week and maybe after next week, and who knows if Kirk's going to play next week. At this point, probably not. Like even if he's back, like why bother? But yeah, very, very sad ending to this season, which held a lot of promise. Just got off to a bad start to begin with, and it's like you start 0-2 and then 1-3. You work your way back to 500. Then you lose a couple. Then you work your way back to 500. And then you lose a couple more. And then you work your way back to 500. And a week ago they started the day in a playoff spot, and here we are. They're eliminated. So it just happens that fast. They gave themselves no margin for error with some of the ones they did lose, particularly that Detroit game. That was you couldn't lose that game, and they lost it. And that's the one they could just never recover from. And here we are, out of the playoffs for the second year in a row, with a roster that is way too talented to miss the playoffs 2 years in a row. And I'm basically just repeating myself, but that's what I do a lot. So that's it. We'll play out the final week and see what happens.